In this study, which was a study of technology-oriented companies in Silicon Valley, we found 5 sort of broad, what we called blueprints, seemed to be recipes for organizing, if you will. And the commitment blueprint was one where people were recruited to the firm based on their desire to be part of an enduring family-like entity. They were controlled by a strong peer culture, and their affection was really to the organization more than to the specific project that they happened to be working on. So Hewlett-Packard in its glory days would be kind of the quintessential commitment blueprint organization. They said that in startups, there's 2 things that you have to confront: success and failure. And in firms that are much more successful, much more rapidly than people anticipate, there's this perennial problem of how do you keep people engaged? How do you get them to keep moving on to the next thing, to version 2.0? And the commitment model, since people's affection is really to an abiding organizational entity, they're much less likely to cash out their stock options and move on to buy their island in the Caribbean or whatever else they're dreaming of doing. And conversely, when you confront initial failure, since people are attached not to that specific project, but to the premise of the organization itself, they're more inclined to stay on in the face of an initial setback. Whereas if you've recruited star talent to come and do a particular project and that project doesn't pan out, that talent will leave immediately. So I think it's that resilience and the fact that commitment can help firms cope with either unanticipated success or unanticipated failure that may be its biggest strength. AgBiome has a number of practices that are not definitive of being a commitment model firm. They use committees to make every decision in the firm, including broad strategy decisions, including decisions about the CEO's compensation. Not all commitment firms have such radical decentralization. They felt very strongly that being non-hierarchical and being participative was going to be critical to their business. And I think they have a pretty compelling case that given their strategy and the kind of business that they're in, that having a non-hierarchical structure not only enables them to attract and retain better scientific talent, which is critical to their mission, but also allows them to make decisions faster and better, which they argue differentiates them from their larger, more bureaucratic competitors. AgBiome is quite different, and they would say it's not for everybody, but they believe that the kinds of scientific and technical talent that they're trying to recruit, those people want to work on really cool stuff in an unencumbered way. B, many of them find it really interesting to have the opportunity to play a role in the broader governance of the organization, which workers do in this organization. They sit on committees that, as I said, determine compensation, determine business development priorities. So they get a much broader exposure to the organization and kind of interesting variety added to their work by virtue of being a part of the governance of the organization. Many of the cases that we studied are of large, extant, long-lived organizations. I wanted one that was at the other end of the evolutionary spectrum. And I wanted a case that would raise questions for the students about the assumptions that they make about what an organization needs to look like. some of these assumptions that we talked about before about the role of management and on whether workers can and should be trusted to make critical decisions, or whether those decisions really ought to be vested in the senior ranks of the organization. I hope the case would also underscore for them the importance of mission and purpose. AgBiome is a very strongly mission-driven organization that believes that it is harnessing science for the purpose of helping feed the world and promote agricultural development, and so I think that the virtue of having a compelling mission or purpose that drives the leadership that you are engaged in is a really important takeaway from the case.